Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Brush. We call imagination. Understand? Understand? You understand? Imagine. Imaginate. You understand? Imagine.
Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
Welcome to the Academy of Underdawgs podcast, a place where a community is being built. A community of underdogs who are striving to do better and be better. Here's your host, Dev Dog.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Academy. This is my friend Michael, and he's been a friend of mine for a few years now. But first off, we'll talk about this beer we're drinking today. Today's beer is brought to you by New Belgium. Where's it from? Boulder? Fort Collins, right?
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins, Colorado, so somewhat local. Cheers. Mike.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Not sponsored, by the way. So, how did we meet? Remember, it was at Christie Sports.
Yeah, it was my first winter here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And we were working in the shop for a little bit together before we realized we both were from the same local area in Pennsylvania.
Skiing at Ski Sawmill.
Yeah, skiing at Ski Sawmill, 500-foot vertical, 4 slopes. We made it work. I saw the 570 tattoo on your arm.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, because that was our area code for our cell phones there. And then from there we just kicked it off and kept talking, kept working together. And you were one of the coolest assistant managers I ever had to work under.
Oh, shucks.
Just snowboarding and turning skis all day.
Yeah, it's an interesting job for like something that you've never done before. It's like this so chill, but gets kind of monotonous.
Yeah.
Meet a lot of different people, if you care to talk to them anyway.
Some days I didn't.
Yeah, definitely, me too. But sometimes you have to, I guess, as a person who works in a place where people come on vacation. You want to make them feel good.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I didn't realize it was a ski town.
Really?
No, I didn't even know there was a ski mountain here when I moved here.
Like you just tell me about that. Why did you move here?
So I left the oil field. I just was like, I'm ready to travel a little more. And just got up and left. I had a $600 96 F-150 I bought, replaced the clutch on it, tires, and it's good to go. Drove it all the way from Pennsylvania to Wyoming. I got there for like 3 weeks. Drove down to Missouri to visit my buddy that was still in the Army. We grew up together. And then after like 4 months of working there at Missouri Cooperage, making wine barrels.
Wine barrels? That's cool.
Yeah. It was a great job.
Where was that at?
Missouri, Lebanon, Missouri.
Was it at a winery?
No, so they made the barrels for the wineries. Because that's where they, like wineries and stuff like that, they'd buy them from these companies. And it's either American oak or French oak. And hot as hell inside the factory, but it needed to be.
I bet. It's got to be like humid, probably.
Well, Missouri's always humid.
Right.
It's just there was always fires and stuff to toast the barrels and things like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, on any given day, it was 110 degrees all day in there.
Damn.
And, just started doing HVAC classes online. Found a job out here doing HVAC installation, and I just came out. And then come to find out it was a ski mountain.
You're just like Steamboat Springs, Colorado? All right, cool.
Yeah. I looked all over the country and everything. And any HVAC job I found for an apprentice wanted someone with experience. I'm like, that doesn't make sense if they're supposed to be an apprentice.
Yeah.
And then I found one out here doing installation for a guy based out of Kansas City, Kansas. And came out here. I didn't really like working there for them. And so then my roommate, Evan,
Yeah.
He's the one that got me the job at Kersey Sports.
Right.
And so I just went right back to working in the ski industry.
He was an interesting dude.
Very interesting. And he was my roommate, too.
Yeah. He would get, like, vodka shooters, like, during the day. I'm pretty sure. There was a liquor store, like, right across the street from the ski shop, basically. And he would just, like, kind of disappear and come back. That was whenever I couldn't smell, too, so I couldn't tell
If he was drunk or not.
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't know that about you. That you might have told me before, but we've stayed, like, one of our late nights at the shop drinking beers. So you might have told me, but I might have forgot.
Yeah, that's true. By then, there was a lot of beers in us, so.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about working in the ski industry is getting tipped in beers.
That was the best part.
So you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, or you were in the military, right? You said you were in the Army.
I was in the Marine Corps.
You were in the Marines. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. How old were you whenever you joined the Marines?
I was 20 when I joined the Marines.
Why did you want to join the Marines?
They were the first ones that called me back.
Right on. That's a good reason.
Yeah, because I was working in the oil field the first summer after graduating high school, doing seismic, just hiking around the mountains all day, laying out geophones and stuff like that. And it was around Pennsylvania where I grew up, so it was really easy hiking for me. And I loved hiking. And then then I did an internship program at a place called Three Springs Ministries for 9 months. So that's why I didn't stay with them. And then after that, oil field wasn't really as busy anymore. But towards the end of the summer, they called me and asked me if I wanted to come back and do seismic again with them, actually out here in Colorado. So I did, I think it was like 4 more months of that. They got slow again. And then, so I went back home to Pennsylvania. And then it's like, well, there's not really much for jobs now that the ski season's ending. Because I was working at the old resort ski sawmill.
Yeah.
And then I was like, screwed. I was going to join the military in high school originally, and never did. Started calling all the recruiters. First one to call me back was Sergeant Gould from the Marine Corps recruiting station out of Elmira.
Are you glad that you did that?
Yes. The Marine Corps, I miss it. I miss that brotherhood, that camaraderie.
Yeah.
A lot of anytime someone was going through stuff, all we had was each other. That was it. And so everyone became really close, tight-knit, and a lot of fun stories, barracks parties, just a bunch of young kids getting drunk in the barracks, causing trouble, pulling fire alarms of other barracks and watching them having to come out in the middle of the night.
I guess that's not what I imagined.
Well, when we're not training, we didn't have a whole lot to do.
Yeah, true.
So we had to entertain ourselves.
Is this whenever you were still in the States? You said that you went to Okinawa for your deployment?
Yes, so Okinawa, I loved it. It's like a tropical island. We still did a lot of dumb barrack stuff, but not as dumb. Since we were a deployed unit, we can get a lot more trouble.
Right.
In Okinawa, Marines got in a lot of trouble. So we didn't want to be that unit that did that, but we had typhoon parties. So anytime like a typhoon will come through or start coming through, they lock us down in our barracks. We'd just go to the store and clear them all out of all the nicotine and beer and alcohol. And then for like 4 days, just be up drinking and partying and stuff like that. Flying flags on top of the barracks, things like that, or grabbing like trash bags and trying to find a skateboard or something to get on. Yeah.
Did those things last for a long time? The typhoon?
Depends on how big the typhoon, like a hurricane, Some of them, there's one that was a couple days, we were stuck in the barracks. There was one that came through and the next morning we were back out of work. So it all depended on the strength of the typhoon and what happened and things like that.
What was your daily life like there whenever it wasn't something, whenever you weren't locked down or?
In Okinawa, there wasn't really a whole lot for us to do. Yes, we explored the island, saw a bunch of cool stuff, but mornings we'd wake up usually around 5:30 PT as a unit, things like that. Because I did field artillery in the Marine Corps, and I was fire direction control for the Marine Corps. So we got calls from the forward observers with the coordinates, and then we'd have to compute that data to get deflection and quadrant, so pretty much left and right, up and down for the howitzers, so they can shoot the howitzers. So we'd go to the office, go through our books, do a bunch of math, train for that, and then after that, lunch, chow, go work out if you want to during that. Go back to the office, do that again until like 5:30 or 6, and then go back to the barracks, work out again, and then just go back to our barracks. Either we're out in town, and that was it. I got a side job out there in Okinawa as a bouncer at a bar called the Saloon. The owner, he used to be in the Marine, or he used to be in the Army, and he was this guy from Tennessee with this big goatee that went all the way down to his stomach line, like his waist. His name was BK was his name. He was an awesome guy, but also he got drunk a lot, and would get into fights with some of the other Marines because the Marines were drunk, and then piss him off. And he was a great guy. The Saloon was a great place to work. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was pretty much everyone I knew that'd go there and drink. So I didn't really need something happened. I didn't need extra bouncers. I had them there as the people I worked with.
Just your brothers in arms.
Yeah. And then there was a bar down the street. I forgot the name of it, but the rumor went around that owner of the bar hated the owner of the Saloon. So he put a little bounty on the guy's goatee to get it cut off.
Did anybody ever get it?
Not to my knowledge. But I don't know if that rumor was true or not.
Was he a ninja?
No, he was actually not an American guy. Just hated him.
Oh, yeah. Huh. That's cool. I mean, anything else you want to talk about there? I kind of want to get down to more of you, I guess.
Yeah, Okinawa, I loved it. I met a family of people out there, and other, Marines and stuff. Got involved with one of the churches. One of my friends got married out there to her husband that she grew up with. Beautiful wedding. And then 2 days before, so I met a girl out there at the bar I worked at. She ended up coming to work at the bar. And it was a weird moment when she walked in before she started working there. I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was gorgeous, beautiful, badass chick. Spoke 7 languages.
Was she Japanese?
No, she was American. She was a Marine also.
Oh, okay.
Her name was Rebecca. And so when she started working there, we started talking a little more. 2 days before I had to go home, we actually hung out for the first time together.
Outside of work?
Outside of work, and we went to the on-base, what was the name of that bar? There was a bar on base that stayed open past midnight, because at midnight that was our curfew, where everyone had to come back, except for when I worked at the bar. So we'd go there and have 1 hour left of drinking time. We all go there and hang out. But this night in particular, we hung out, and it was I went and got a bottle of Jack, and we just sat there in one of the baseball fields, listening to music, drinking the Jack, dancing, just asking each other questions. I had to be up at...
Sounds like a movie.
It pretty much almost was. It's the first time we kissed, too, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was a year and a half after, so I didn't date anyone or really go out on the dating scene for a year and a half because I just got out of an engagement. But we started talking, and when I went back stateside, she was coming back too soon also. So I got a phone with better signal, better data, so we can video call each other every day and things like that.
You had a phone that had service?
Oh, yeah.
Just a side note. I've known this man for,
4 years?
4 years or something like that, and I can only get a hold of him through Instagram or Facebook messages because he doesn't have, when he has Wi-Fi, because he just doesn't want to have an actual plan, which, hey, that's awesome. You get along with it, so it works.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out well when I first moved here, especially. But yeah, so I got a new phone that had a better camera and all that stuff, so we can talk. And
nice.
Yeah, and then it just eventually didn't work out. Even when she came back stateside, we tried to see each other, things like that. But then I got out of the Marine Corps, and she was still in. I went home to work back in the oil field. So
Where's she from?
She was originally from Michigan, like Michigan and Indiana. She moving in between there, but she got stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina. It's like a 14-hour difference. We'd usually like swap like the weekends or every other weekend for one of us to drive up and see each other.
Yeah.
So it was going well. But then I got out of the military because my 2 DUIs in a month. I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
So I went home to deal with one of the DUIs. And then I started working back in the oil field. And it just started dwindling out. And yeah, it was hard. It was really hard because we split it off, but we were still talking a lot and stuff. Like it was just that weird chemistry where we can just talk about anything to each other regardless.
Right. You know, like on the phone for like 3 hours or
yeah,
like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was that kind of thing. And then then just one day, I haven't heard from her, and I haven't heard from her since.
Really?
Yeah, she just stopped talking to me.
Do you think she's dead?
No, she's not dead. I would know about that. The Marine Corps is a small community, so you usually hear a lot when someone passes away. Even if you don't know them that well, you know brothers that did know them.
Yeah.
So you always hear about that. But she still lives in Jacksonville, Florida. She's got a husband now and a couple kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, good for her.
Yeah.
I just say do you think she's dead? Because at work, like if somebody doesn't show up, no calls, no shows, especially 2 days in a row, I'm like, do you think they're dead? So little romance in Okinawa. It lasted for how long did you guys talk for?
We kind of, let's see. I want to say it was like kind of being together. It was like 6 months, I think. But talking to each other was about 1.5 years or so. Because even after I got out, like I said, we talked for a while still. So.
Was your heart broken after she kind of ghosted you?
Yes and no. It just hurt because there was no rhyme or reason.
Right, but maybe not as much because she wasn't like there. You know, like it was.
Yeah, it was almost like I was used to it. Still, because that's happened a lot in my life.
Same here.
Since I was like 2 years old.
Yeah, me too.
So it was just women coming in and out and leaving my life and things like that. So it was hard. And then from that relationship, I didn't date anyone for about 4 or 5 years. And then anyone that's tried to get intimate like that with me, I told them no. I wasn't about it.
Brick wall.
Put up that brick wall. I mean, it saved me a lot of heartache and pain
Yeah, man, I did the same thing. I mean, before Jenny, and I mean, even girls before that, like recently before her, like I still had a brick wall up, and then there'd sometimes be cracks, but I was pretty good at repairing those cracks. You know, you get kind of used to that kind of thing, and you turn it. It's like a switch. Like I call it my "don't give a fuck" switch.
Exactly. But yeah, a lot of times that "don't give a fuck" switch happened in the form of heavy drinking. Heavy drinking, try to get rid of the pain. And then at one point it turned into doing other things, other drugs.
Like what?
Like cocaine.
Yeah.
It was like the biggest.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It's a hell of a drug, but yeah, it was like the biggest number I ever had to get like rid of that. So yeah, there was a point about 2 years ago, I did 1 gram, 2 grams every day. Yeah.
Damn.
And it's because I didn't want to feel. I did not want to feel anymore. I just went, through the motions pretty much of life. I was working 3 jobs. I didn't really see any of the money of that.
You gotta be working 3 jobs to be able to afford.
It's an expensive drug. You gotta make money. But no, yeah, and so, and then, for a while there, I didn't feel anything. Couldn't feel at all. And then, any times I went like a couple days without it, started getting this like rush of emotions. I was like, I don't like these things, and I just started doing it again, because it was just like it was all the pain, all the thoughts. And everything on like why. Oh, sorry. I thought I turned that off.
Oh, good.
I was always like the thoughts of like why always popped up in my head because it was this whole lifelong experience of just women coming in and out of my life. And then it got to the point where I was just tired of it and I just wanted to know why, but never got the answer why. So I wanted to stop my mind from asking me why. So that's where the heavy drug use came in, mixed with alcohol, and it wasn't a good combination.
Usually never is.
No.
What happened after that? Like, I mean, you good now. I know that. What made you want to change or get off the?
Well, I started realizing that it was just the people around me saw it and saw the effect on me of it. And there were a couple more people that have left my life because of it, but that was my fault, and I realized that. So I wanted to fix that. I didn't like the fact that I was the cause of certain people leaving at that point in my life. Yeah. And then so I started last summer, around April. I decided to try to date again, and it was everything. The girl, I'm not gonna say her name because she does live in town, but
yeah, we can leave her out of it. You know who you are.
Send her the link to the podcast. No, so yeah, things were going well. We shared, things started going good and stuff. So we started sharing that deep side of our lives together and things like that about, what people have done to us and things. And she had her share of people leaving her life. So
most people do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I like to keep it as
it's fine.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, I mean, people are quick to judge, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because everybody has a story. And a lot of times it does have to do with a significant other or just people leaving them or hurting them or whatever. Because I have had the same thing. I was a hopeless romantic. I mentioned in the last podcast with Alyssa. She was talking about her anxiety and asked if I had any really in my life, and I said that the biggest depressant is whenever I would get my heart broken. And I just think that happens to everybody, and it's something that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of what happened after. It was 6 months of us seeing each other, and the one night she kind of expressed to me, cried to me about showing more, because I
wanted you to show more.
To show more of emotion and things like that, and so I decided to give that to her, and then the same thing happened, just left. A little bit more of an explanation from her, but it still hurt. Because I did what was asked, and then in return, I got left. And so it sucks, because that's where, since I was 2, when my mom and dad split up, because they were never married, my mom's been in and out of my life constantly.
Really?
Yep. With lies and things like that, and then she got real heavy into opiates, and sorry, burps now for the beer.
Yes, sir, everybody.
But she got real heavy into opiates and things like that, and into drugs. And my father, at one point, didn't know how bad things were getting with her, because me and my sister would sometimes spend the school year with her up in Newport Richey, Florida, or spend down with my dad in Hollywood. So there wasn't it was never consistently I grew up in one school when we lived in Florida, because we'd always go back and forth, or during the summer.
In Hollywood, Florida?
Yeah, that's so I was born in Miami.
Okay.
And Hollywood, Florida is
that's why you're a Dolphins fan.
That is why I'm all Miami fan. But we don't need to talk about that because the Heat just lost to the Nuggets. So.
Go Nugs.
Yeah. And the Panthers just lost to Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Panthers won the Stanley Cup.
I forgot that they were in there.
Fucking Vegas. But yeah, so
Desert hockey players.
Yeah, desert hockey players trying to call themselves a hockey town now.
I mean, you Florida, so I mean that's a side note about hockey. Florida, beach,
Swamps.
Vegas, swamps that don't freeze. Vegas, hockey, two warm climate hockey teams were in the finals. It's kind of funny. Right?
Yeah, it is. And then, but yeah, so then when my dad found that out, finally how bad my mom has gotten, because there was weeks at a time me and my sister would be in the house alone, living. So mom was either in jail or just not around.
Yeah.
And her only means of income was working at a strip club, a raggedy old strip club down on, I think it was Highway 59. That was the name of the strip club, too. And so my dad found out, came up to grab us the one summer once he found out, like, how bad my mom's gotten and stuff. And
so she was like, you guys were home alone because she was out
partying, working, or in jail. Like, there was one time she didn't come home for, I think it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks. We had no idea where she was at.
You guys were just surviving on your own?
Yeah, and there was a family across the street. Me and my sister were really good friends with their kids. Really good family. Their mom would invite us over to dinner and things like that. She would, cook for us and stuff. They became some of our best friends. Like, they were another little family we had. They had
That's good. That's nice.
Yeah,
thank God that you had that.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be me. That's another reason why, like, me and my sister learned how to cook. So, we're cooking for ourselves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then that also, when he came up that summer to grab us, to move us down there with him permanently, it was the summer he found out that he got diagnosed with cancer. He had stage 4 melanoma.
Fucking cancer.
Yeah. Fucking shitty ass. I don't know why it's around. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I got diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma. Yeah, I remember the car ride back, my dad telling us about it. I couldn't say anything. Like, I just had no words. And
how old were you?
13. That's when my dad was like, he told us with the surgery, they were like, I'm guessing around a year to live after the surgery, 6 months without it. And so we went down there, and what I loved about my father through this whole cancer, he never stopped raising us the way he wanted us raised. Like, he was not there to be our best friend. He was there to raise us right.
Yeah.
He's there to raise us to survive in the world by ourselves.
He didn't know if he had the time to do both. He's just like, that's what my guess would be. It's like,
well, that's how he was before the cancer.
No, he did.
Yeah, he raised us that way, and so then the surgery happened. So at this point, it's like me and my sister aren't seeing my mom, and like really much anymore now because we're down in Florida for school, and Dad's in the hospital getting surgery done. First surgery, gets out, no problem, and then he has to go back in for more tests. When those tests came back, they found more tumors on his intestines. That lowered the life expectancy. So they did surgery, and then he was in a coma for like 2 months in the hospital.
Fuck.
Every morning, me, my sister, my brothers, and my stepmom would go to the hospital, see him before we went to school. We'd go to school, me, my brothers, my sister would get off, come back to the house. Stepmom still be at work. Some of the people from the clubs, my dad was in the Alternative MC Club, so it's an AA motorcycle club. And those people would, because my stepmom was working, they'd bring dinner or something for all of us to eat. So we had a big family support with that, which was awesome. And then after my dad woke up from the coma, we get told he had a week to live. That hit was like, fuck. It's like there's nothing, we're basically told there's nothing we can do. Nothing at all. He's only got a week. So then we bring him home. He lives past a week. And then even at this point, he still never changed the way he raises.
At this point, was he like, like almost like a shadow of himself or something like that. Like, you know, like you see a lot of cancer patients that they say they only have a week to live, and they're basically like they look like they're just a ghost in a bed or something like that. You know what I mean? Like bald and.
No, he pretty much hid that really well, and was still a father. He wasn't working, but he was still a father. Like, he still, if we did something wrong, he'd yell at us or whatever. But, like, you know, he'd raise us. He'd discipline us, but also we still had fun. Like, we weren't going outside running around. He wasn't riding a motorcycle, but when he was home, he'd actually want to interact with us. Like, we'd watch TV, play video games. Excuse me. But, yeah, he lived past the week, and he wanted to move up back to Pennsylvania because he's from Pennsylvania, and he loves Pennsylvania mountains.
Is he from where you're from?
He's from Philadelphia.
Oh.
Roxborough, Philadelphia. That's where he grew up. So, yeah, we just packed up and left. Florida is all I knew in my life. Just packed up and left. Moved up to bumfuck nowhere, Pennsylvania. I think it was, when was it? It was December 1st we get up there. Never seen snow in my life. Never been up in the winters. Nothing.
Yeah.
December 1st up in Liberty, or technically Trout Run, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know Trout Run.
Yeah. Graduated, like my graduating class was 36. So I went from a graduating class of
36 people in your graduating class.
Yes. Yeah. And he was supposed to die already before that, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's got to have been more than a week.
Yeah, it was about a month and a half.
Yeah.
And so, like, his energy levels were always low.
I bet that's where you were like, this is bullshit. There's no way. I mean, he said a week, and like, he's still, like, playing with you and, like, being a dad. Like, I don't understand. This is bullshit.
Yeah, and so we just we didn't think about it really a whole lot on, like, it's hard to explain. Like, I wasn't sitting there thinking, like, oh, I got a week, really, with my dad. We just kind of went on with our life.
Right. That's all you can do. I mean...
Yeah, that's all we could do. There's nothing.
You're just looking forward to, like, 7 days from today.
You're going to be out of my life.
Yeah. That's not how it works.
No, and he never did the chemo. He never did any of the treatment. We moved up to PA. And, like, I saw me and my sister, because my brothers were seniors that year. We moved up there. They finished out the last half of their year. And then it was just me, my sister, and my stepmom. So I had to help out my dad a lot with things like just yard work, splitting the wood, all that, building stuff. He would still get out in the four-wheeler and ride it around, things like that. But his energy levels would plummet real quickly because his immune system was it was shitty from it. And then, it was right around the intestinal area, so he had digestive problems and stuff. So he couldn't always get that energy. I mean, there was days he didn't get out of bed for a whole day.
Yeah.
And even though the day before he was fine, and like let's say like the day before, there was times he'd be like, yeah, we're going to go take the boat out or something or go around, but he couldn't the next day because his energy was that low. So all through high school, that's kind of where I went through. Me and my sister, just doing a lot of that. I got involved in sports up in Pennsylvania. It's a great move for me. It was. I miss it. I loved that place. Got involved in sports. I did basketball, football, wrestling, and track.
All the sports.
Did all the sports. Got into athletics, fitness, all of it. Found my joy for fitness. Started doing a lot of studying on my own.
Yeah.
I lived too far away from the school to use the gym all the time. So I just literally would find rocks, boulders in the backyard, use the rafters in the barn or logs, and then...
fucking Rocky Balboa, dude.
I mean, we lived right on it. We lived on a hill like this. I had one of them. We had one of them old plows that you would like push through, right? And it had wheels on it. I'd use that as my sled pushing up the hill.
Badass.
So yeah, and then I just got playing the sports, everything. Got involved in youth group, got involved with horses on the farms, and then graduation hit. He was there that summer after graduation. He was deemed cancer-free. And then he just goes right back to work down in Florida again.
He's like, I'm good? All right.
Yeah.
Back to work.
I love it. He's a stubborn fucker, but I love him because he's tough. And throughout that entire time, he never changed the way he was raising us. Never. And that's why I love and respect him so much. Because of that.
Oh, yeah.
On the other hand, with my mom, my senior year, she got in contact with me and my sister.
Not so much.
Yeah, and so she told me that she was clean off all the drugs and all that my senior year. And so I flew down to see her. Get there, the guy she's living with is a drug dealer. And I remember this because she took me the very first day I was down there. She said she wanted to go introduce me to friends. He was dealing those drugs out. She wasn't introducing me to friends. They took me on a drug run. And, yeah, at 17 years old.
What, like she's like, I don't want to fuck this up because my kid came down to visit me, but I need to go and do this drug run. So she's like, we're gonna go see some friends.
Yeah, but she still did them. Like that's when I realized that she still was on the drugs.
Yeah.
And I remember getting back to the house. I put my stuff in my bag, and I was like, I'm going to Uncle Donald's house because I remember Uncle Donald lived. And she's like, no. I was like, no, you guys fucking lied to me. You're hypocrites. And as a 17-year-old, I never thought I'd have to say that to an adult.
Let alone your mom.
Let alone my mom. And calling her and her 6'5", 300-pound Colombian boyfriend a fucking hypocrite. And I'm 5'9", 145 pounds. So I left, went to Uncle Donald's house, hung out there for the rest of the time. Didn't see her. Next time I saw her was 5 years later at my sister's wedding. She looked way worse than she did before. And the only thing I said to her was, hi, Mom, and that was it. I didn't talk to her really much at all. And still to this day, I won't talk to her.
Did she ever try to get a hold of you?
She has. I told her to stay out of my life.
Damn.
Yeah. I told her I don't want her involved in my life. And it was during the summer, last summer, when it happened, when the stuff with that last girl I tried to see happened up. And I realized, like, before she got a hold of me, I realized, like, that's when I realized it stemmed, my trust issues stemmed from her. That's when I realized that. So that's something I been working on more.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it took me almost 30 years to realize that. And it's still, but it wasn't like an overnight process where you're just like, hey, I'm good now. I realize that. No.
No, nothing like that ever works. It's not. It's a process. You know, like I've mentioned this in the last podcast too. This book that I've been reading on beliefs, like your beliefs, and they stem from some event that happened like earlier in your life.
Yeah.
Pretty much every belief. Well, yeah, every belief that you have, it doesn't exist because a belief is energy in your brain, and with that energy is whether it's negative or positive. It got created from something. Like it didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so whenever you can realize that of what that belief maybe came from, like you did, then that gives you a little bit more power to be able to change it.
Exactly. It does. But I didn't realize it was that hard.
Yeah, it doesn't make it any easier. It's just because you know something and doesn't mean you know how to change it.
Yeah. And my dating life is still non-existent since then because it's not that I don't want to trust people anymore. It's just now I realize also there's this game for some reason our generation plays with each other with dating. Ugh, they go, it's like they do like this couple month thing and then they just break it off, right? Or someone dates all these girls, but it's because they treat them like assholes or whatever. They play a game, or the females do the same thing. I don't play that game, and I never will. I never have. I'll never play a game to where just to be able to sleep with a girl or date a girl or have to like play that distant game with them to keep them around. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't.
That's good. It's a good sign of character. You're a good dude in general, I think, anyway.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. Oh,
you have to drink after the cheers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's bad luck, according to the Germans.
How long have you been a steamboat again?
it'll be 10 years in October. I moved here October 13th of 2013. No, that's too many threes. It was like the 13th or the 16th. Yeah, no, it was 2013, but it was either like the 16th or 13th, but about 10 years.
Yeah, that's when I went in the Marine Corps. It was 2013.
Really?
Yeah, it was September 23rd is when I left for boot camp. And I got out December 30th from Marine Corps boot camp, 3 days before Christmas. 4 days? 21st. Christmas on the 24th, right?
Christmas?
Yeah.
25th.
Yeah, whatever.
Christmas Eve is on the 24th.
Yeah, so I got out like the 22nd or 23rd of December, a couple days before Christmas. And yeah, that was fun. Marine Corps is actually how I met Daniel, the one I call brother that you met with the mullet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met Daniel, was through the Marine Corps. He's from Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. Yeah, and from that was a shit show ever since we met.
I remember that too. So we're gonna take a break here in a minute, but before we do that, after all the stuff that you just talked about, how do you think that? I mean, you mentioned about the trust thing and not treating women as items or disrespecting them and just to sleep with them, but as a person, how do you think that whole shit show of a life with your dad and cancer and then your mom being a piece of shit, no offense to your mom, but
No, you're good.
but how do you think that has changed you? That was a long time ago.
I grew up I pretty much look at it as like I grew up at an early age.
Because you had to.
Yeah, I had to. I was playing sports and stuff. Yeah, me and my friends were hooligans. We did dumb stuff, but nothing. The biggest thing we ever did and got us in trouble with the law growing up was shooting BB guns at cars on the side of Highway 15.
That'll get you. That'll get you some quick trouble real quick.
Oh yeah. But most of the trouble was like harmless trouble, doing like throwing things at each other at school or whatever, and but it also helped. It made me very protective of my sister.
Mm-hmm. How much younger is she than you?
She's older.
She's older than you.
Yes, she's a year and a couple months older than me. Yeah. So it made me real protective of her, and there was a couple times at Liberty that I had to fight someone because they fucked with my sister the wrong way, or I had to put my hands on them and tell them never to touch her again, because I was the only one allowed to bully my sister.
Right.
No one else, other than like me and the guys that grew up as our friends on the road. Like we pick on her and stuff, but like to put your hands on her in a sexual way or things like that. Like one kid specifically at school did.
I wouldn't want to be that good.
It was just like I was very protective of her, but also she would try to beat the shit out of me sometimes. It was funny. I'd laugh at her. She'd hit me or something, just because I wouldn't give her the TV remote.
I know exactly how that goes. My sister was younger than me, but I remember one time she took a box of tapes. I can't remember the situation, but she took a box of like VHS tapes and just like threw it at me or dumped it on me when I was sitting on the couch, because I, just brotherly, sisterly.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah, I remember Sheila chased me around the house with a knife the one time because I wouldn't give her the TV remote. But then, my dad would tell me stories about like him fighting with our Aunt Debbie, and the one time like she tried to like literally almost stabbed him with a pair of scissors in the leg as they were growing up. But it was the same way for him and her brothers, their brothers. Like no one was allowed to mess with her at all, So it kind of helped me be a little bit more protective. But growing up, I didn't party in high school really, like most people. I went to school, did my sports. On the weekends, I'd throw hay because the guy I worked for trucked hay. And then in the summertime, I'd be throwing hay, like riding around on four-wheelers or dirt bikes, things like that. We did make alcohol once, though, me and my buddy Star.
Yeah.
9th grade year. We made some mead at his house. His parents were gone.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good mead too.
I like mead.
Yeah, mead's I think a sleep like people sleep on it. It's a really good alcohol. It's really good, and
I don't know even where to get mead.
you can get it at CPL.
Can you?
Yeah, they have a couple mead options at CPL, and that's probably the best.
Good liquor store.
That's probably the best place in town to get mead, is CPL. But yeah, and so, just working, doing that. Didn't really party. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 20. Like, just didn't go out much. Like out to party or anything like that. And then once I graduated, I just worked. I did an internship for a ministry and all that. It was like a condensed 9-month seminary thing. So my 20s were a lot of me kind of being responsible, like other than Marine Corps, all the drinking that we did. And a drink that got me in trouble. But it wasn't until I moved to Steamboat away from there, like having to be that person.
Yeah.
That I actually figured out more about myself, because I got to experience the party life finally. Like legit party life. And Steamboat. There's a big party scene here.
Yeah.
I call this town the Peter Pan syndrome town.
The Peter Pan syndrome town?
Yeah, people just want to come here and not grow up.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how I was.
Yeah.
And that's why it's taking me so long. I've just turned 36 a few days ago on the 8th, and I still feel like I'm not even like a full-grown adult.
Yeah.
Because Steamboat does just like kind of traps you. You're in this little Peter Pan snow globe.
Exactly.
That it's a ski town or a drinking town with a skiing problem, as they say.
Yeah, and there's also the summer snow problem.
Yeah, the summer snow.
Yeah.
Been there, done
that. Yeah. For everyone listening that doesn't know what that is, we're talking about cocaine. But yeah, for the first 2 years I was here, I still wasn't really a big part of that part of the scene. Staying up for 2, 3, 4 days straight on Steamboat snow. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago is when I first tried it. And that's when I realized how bad my mom's addictive personality affected me. Was how badly I loved cocaine. So, like...
I mean, it's an easy drug to love.
Yeah, and so it was just... I grew up quick back home. Didn't have much of an option.
Sorry, everybody. Anna's whining. She's down
over here. You whining, Anna. But I didn't really have, in my mind, much of an option to do any of that. And it wasn't until I moved here I got to. But it's time for me, after the 4 years I've been here, to move on from that. Because if I stay, then I'm going to continue to do it and just ruin my fucking life. I know I will. Some people in this town can get out of that and stay in this town. I know I can't.
So you're bouncing.
I'm bouncing. Yeah, a lot of my life has been bouncing from place to place.
He's a rambler, baby. Well, we'll get into that in a second. Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. I just found out a whole bunch of shit about Michael that I had no idea, and this is awesome. So yeah, we'll be right back, guys. Yeah, so we're back. Go ahead and say what you just said.
So yeah, talking about your life and the hardship in life is not always easy, but I think it's important for other people to know that.
Me too.
Because they realize that you might not be perfect, that you're finally, they realize you're not perfect, but also I think it gives other people the ability to look at their life and realize they're not perfect and need to work on things as well.
Yeah, but I also think that some of the time, kind of like what you just said, but the opposite is people see other people's lives and other people put on this persona that their life is perfect or something. Like they got all their shit together. They're like, let's take just for instance as not the greatest example, but like Instagram. What do you call them? The influencers? Yeah.
Yeah, those things.
They like post pictures of extravagant vacations and all this shit, but I guarantee you their life ain't all that their Instagram is cracked up to be.
No.
Everybody's got a story, and
Yeah.
everybody's got issues and struggles that they struggle with daily.
Yeah. And one thing, like, I don't talk a lot about what goes on in my personal life to a lot of people. Mainly because it turns into, have you ever played the telephone game?
Yeah.
In school, where you just whisper one thing to someone, they got to pass it
It
on.
goes around.
And by the end, it's something completely different.
Right.
I can mention to them something about a girl I met. Next thing you know, the 10th person that hears it, said, "Oh, so and so just went on a date with this girl to sleep with her." It's like, that's not what I said at all.
Especially in this town, man,
Yeah.
because it's small and there's a lot of Indian brothers, or no, not Indian brothers, people that have
Eskimo brothers.
Eskimo brothers.
There's a lot of Eskimo brothers and sisters in this town.
Yeah, but just not even that. Just what you said, the telephone game.
Yeah, and so like that part of me I don't tell a lot of people like what I do on my day-to-day personal life, or if I'm seeing someone or things like that. It's because of that. Like, and also to me, it's like it's none of their concern at the time.
None of your business.
Yeah, none of your business. And also people, I feel like, need to dial back how much they share when they're just bar talking with people. You know?
I mean, once the juices start flowing, then the vocals start flowing. And all of a sudden-
Exactly. And it's just, there's always two sides to a story. So, like...
At least two sides.
Yeah. And so it's just like, how can I know your story is 100% accurate because you're only seeing it through your eyes, not theirs as well.
Right. I completely agree. That's what I'm kind of... one of the things about this podcast is like all that kind of stuff. Like everybody's got a story, and I want to hear everybody's story, and then about different issues, just in general, or like we could talk about political issues or personal issues, or any kind of thing like that. There's always different sides of the story that need to be heard in order to make like your own educated decision on a judgment.
Yes.
So I try to, that's my goal, is to hear all sides, as many sides as I can get anyway.
So you can see that perspective from their side.
Yeah, because I hate judging, but it just happens naturally. Like my personality and my thought process and just my thoughts about a lot of things and opinions in general have changed dramatically from, say, even just like a few months ago about certain issues, but about other things like just more extreme, like from how I was in high school, or even just whenever I was trimming trees back in Pennsylvania. Like,
Are you talking about like trimming trees, like climbing them, or trimming trees that's in weed?
no, I've never trimmed trees, weed trees. I mean climbing trees.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I really like to get all sides of the story. Like my dad, for instance. I've been thinking about politics a lot lately, so my mind kind of always goes back to that. Like, he's a Fox News watcher in all aspects of life. Like, Fox News is what he listens to.
Fox News is the Bible.
And, yeah, exactly. And he has a biased opinion on things or can have a biased opinion on things because that's really the only news source that he really watches or anything like that. And same thing with the other side. I don't know I don't really watch mainstream news stations. So what's the other one? There's Fox, like that's a Republican. CNN. No, CNN is more like world news. But,
Well, that's more of, I feel like the CNN, I feel that is like more the left agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I don't really. I listen to the NPR a lot, and
Yeah, I heard him. I've never listened to NPR because I hate news.
I love news. I like to know what's going on.
To me, like a lot of the news stations turned into the adult dramas.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but I heard NPR is more, a little less unbiased. Like, you know, they're not. They're like, kind of like.
They just tell you what's going on. Like, this is happening.
And that's how it should be.
This is happening. This happened. Yeah, and Morning Marketplace is the two of my favorite news.
What is Morning Marketplace?
Same thing. It's just like not the same thing, but it's just what I think is an unbiased view of what's going on, or they just tell you the news. And it can be about anything, but it's a podcast. Morning Marketplace, check it out, everybody, if you like unbiased information. They talk about everything, from the Russia-Ukraine war to Trump's indictments to the Fed rate hikes to interest rates, and they just tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah, that's good. It's always hard for me to watch news. My father never really watched news a whole lot growing up because he didn't care for politics at all. And so it's kind of where I was, because that's how he was. He always wanted us to have our own, like he didn't push sports on us. You know, he didn't push any of that really on us. Didn't push politics on us. He just wanted us to kind of do our own thing. And figure out what we wanted, pretty much. And so my sister played soccer, I think, for a year, but I was the only one out of my siblings that actually did sports consistently.
My sister didn't play sports. I did
for
most of my childhood career.
Like wrestling in Pennsylvania. My dad was a wrestler in high school. He didn't start wrestling until he was a sophomore in high school. That's the same year I started wrestling when I was a sophomore. But he never pushed that on us. Yeah. Like when I was younger, I did some, karate classes and a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
I did karate.
I think most kids do karate at some point.
For a very short time.
Yeah, mine was very short too because I ended up starting to fail in school, so he took me out of it. But he was always making sure, he always wanted to make sure, we had passing grades. Mm-hmm. For my sister, she got yelled at whenever she got a B. I didn't get yelled at at all if I had a B. My dad was just happy I was passing. Because I didn't care.
A B? That's better than a C. Hell yeah.
Because I didn't try up until I started playing sports to get better grades. I was always just screw it. I just went skateboarding. Oh yeah, Dad, I don't have homework. He never really checked it. He never really checked to see if I did or not or anything like that. Elementary school and middle school, I had a couple Fs. That's when the teachers would call my dad. That's when I'd be grounded. I was grounded a lot in my life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My whole junior year up until partially way through track season, I was ungrounded. So, yeah, that's because I was on probation the whole time for that BB gun incident.
Oh. See, that's a good thing about back in the day, because if that was nowadays that you did that, who knows what would. Shooting a BB gun at cars, even if it's just a BB gun. Yeah,
but my dad was always he was not gonna let the law ruin my life, because I remember waking up that weekend, and he was like, so the sheriff's knocked on our door this morning. It was during this right before the summer. He was like, do you know what it's about? I was like, no.
Couldn't tell you.
Wrong answer.
Wasn't me.
But because they wanted to talk to me. And my dad was like, about what? And they told him. And he was like, well, you're not talking to my son without a lawyer present. You know? He was never going to and that's one thing he taught us too, growing up. Never, you don't need to talk to the cops without a lawyer present. Never take a threat from anyone that could be your life. Always swing first.
Oh, hello.
Hey, you're back. Hi. But yeah.
Everybody, welcome the podcast mascot. This is the true underdog.
She's gotten so big.
Yeah, I know.
How old is she now?
She's about 5. She's 5. And she might be turning 6.
Might be.
Yeah, I really can't remember. I don't pay too much attention to her to her age.
Oh, to age, okay.
No, I pay too much attention to her in general, but
Yeah.
her age not as much because she's still my girl.
Yeah, she is. Oh yeah.
You can stay in here if you want.
She's like, I don't know what I want right now, Dad.
So she can't burst in.
There we go. But yeah, so like, back to the political side of thing, I look at things more libertarian. Like,
You say you think more libertarian?
yeah, I think more down the middle because I feel like there's both good
I
things.
have one of those.
They're out. Those are used ones. So,
I'm out too.
yeah, so I should have got a new pack on the way over here. Yeah, I just feel like both sides have an important role to play. And so, like, kind of looking in the middle there, the underdog, the libertarians of the political group that no one really pays attention to.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be, yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way. Like, there's good parts and bad parts of both sides, Republican, Democrat, or conservative, liberal. It's just becoming so much more extreme on both sides. And then it's becoming, like, it's the two-party system, I think, is just dividing the country more and more and more and more.
And the media plays a part in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The media is so toxic.
And I totally fall into that trap too, but also some of the stuff that I see happening, like in Florida, for instance, with their governor.
What's happening with the governor of Florida?
DeSantis, he's made laws that if any parent basically has an issue with a book that is, it doesn't even have to be in the school library. It can just be in any library. If any parent has any issue with it on what they're talking about, they can just ban it.
That's a terrible idea.
Do you know who else used to ban books and burn books? Fucking Hitler.
Yeah. And I think burning or getting rid of any part of an educational process where kids can learn, the next generation can learn, is terrible because then we forget things like history. History being
That's what
destroyed.
they're trying to do, is trying to get history out of the books so that
They can make their own.
yeah, they can make their own. And like, no, black people didn't used to be slaves. Or another thing is like any homophobic kind of.
Well, the Romans and the Greeks were big on exploring, like, you know, the homophobic side of the human body and sort of the different sexuality sides of the human body playing with each other of the same sex.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that.
You watch any of the like Spartacus or any of those type of shows.
Yeah, all in history.
Everybody's
they did
having
that.
sex with everybody.
Yeah, it was the Greeks just had a giant orgy all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, I feel like everybody's. A lot of people make the argument that stuff doesn't belong in politics, or that it's just shunning us away from, or like that being an issue, the trans stuff, the gay stuff, the LG. Oh fuck! I've had too many beers now. LGBTQ.
Yeah, something like
And then
that.
there's 2 other letters now, plus
Oh, there is. I didn't know that.
LGBT. I can't speak right now. You all know what I'm saying. Like that whole community, like a lot of people act like it's a huge threat to our country or to their kids or something like that. And so they're banning the discussions from schools in different states, like altogether. I don't know if you've seen any of my Instagram videos that I've posted.
I don't get on Instagram a whole lot anymore. I just post memes on Facebook to piss people off.
Right on. That's fun too. But I'd like to get political about some stuff, and like I said, my opinion about things change the more information that I get. So I had made posts on arguing about trans boys playing in girls' sports. And since then, my opinion has changed, which I also know that made another post about. But it's like people want to just not talk about it, or like want to ban it so that it doesn't have to be talked about, so that they can just like put it out of their mind and move on. But that's not how shit works. Like, these people are people that are citizens of this country, people like you have fought for freedom, and they want to just either ban it or just get rid of it.
Yeah.
To put it like in the back of people's heads, but it's not going to be like that, and nothing's ever going to get done until we can, both sides, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, this is all my opinion obviously, until everybody can come together and like actually discuss this shit with an open mind.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, I think, with the two parties, is that there's the left and there's the right, and these are the mindsets of each one, and like they can't, like, trying to mesh it all, it's like blasphemy or something like that.
Yeah, and that's like, if you don't have a side, you're also looked at as the bad person as well, which I feel is not fair, because like you mentioned, like, you know, I joined the military, and part of that is to fight for the freedom for the people to make their own decisions, and that's not mine to change. Yeah, do I need to have a discussion with it about someone? In my opinion, no, because you're a person. We shooting the shit. I don't care what, I don't care what sex you decide to be, whether you like boys or girl on girl, boy on boy. If you're still a good human being, I'll shoot the shit with you no matter what, and I'll still be a friend with you. You know, that's not going to be deciding factor. I'm not going to be like, just because you're gay, I'm not talking to you. No. Some gay people are some of the funniest, most down-to-earth people I've ever met.
Absolutely.
And they're awesome. But also, it's like, that's your choice, not mine.
Well,
I can't hate you for it.
Well, let's, I guess we can, while you said that, we can't say gay people are like that. Like, that person who happens
that's
to
who
be
they
gay.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just like this big stigma saying, like,
yeah,
that people, they'll judge someone based on how they want to live their sexual life. And it's like, that doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Are you religious?
No, I look at things more of a spiritual side now, even though I did that ministry, seminary, school type thing.
Yeah.
And mainly because the teacher that we had, he taught us in a way to be open-minded about religion in other places, and taught us that things are pretty, like most religions, if you look through the text, are very similar. And all around the world have very similar stories, and things like that. But one thing I don't believe in is man writing their own text into something that people need to read every day, or people that do read every day. I feel like, mainly, Christianity in America, I feel like it's so screwed, or so twisted, and like the far right, news stations play into that, and then they think that a lot of people don't even realize, like, a lot of the biblical text we read stemmed from Sumerian ancient text. Like, they didn't start with Judaism. It stemmed from Sumerian ancient text. A lot of those stories are, like, the Old Testament came from the Sumerian text.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what that is, including myself, what is Sumerian?
Sumerian is one of the oldest civilizations that we know of on planet Earth. They have some of the oldest text in history.
Okay.
And hieroglyphs. Yep. Even older than the Egyptians.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was gonna go to next, is the religious part, because my parents are very devout Christians, and I was raised as a Christian, and so my viewpoint on that kind of stuff has changed drastically from what I used to think. Like, for instance, I used to think that, like, the Bible says that if you kill yourself, then you go to hell. I don't really believe in heaven or hell anymore. I believe that there is some sort of higher power, but I don't necessarily think that it could be God. It could be Mother Earth. I 100% believe in Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Because she provides us with everything, and we need to protect her. But like the Christian side of things, like homosexuality is wrong. A man loving another man is wrong. Killing or abortion is wrong. And so, like, not saying my parents are devout Christians, but they're not assholes either.
That's a good way to put it.
So, like, that's what they think, but I think that they're also willing to hear the other side of it.
And I think that's an important thing for people, you know, hearing and, you know, just kind of having an open mind on the other side of things. Like you said about same-sex marriage, and people say in the Bible it says it's wrong, but also if it says it in the Bible, if someone rapes another female and she gets pregnant, that person's supposed to marry the person they raped, that raped them. It says that in the Bible.
I've never read the Bible the whole way through.
So it's like, where's everyone's opinion on that? And they just kind of shrug it off. That's not being open-minded to the fact that, in my belief, everything in the text nowadays isn't necessarily true, because it could have been written by the people who put the Bible together and changed it in order to make the people believe what they wanted them to believe.
Yeah, that makes more sense than some of the stuff that the Bible says does.
But I do believe that there was a man named Jesus that did amazing things and taught all these things to be, hey, pretty much love your neighbor as yourself, and just basically be a good person the best you can be.
Yeah, that's what I think and try to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about humanity. Fuck your left side, right side type of thinking, and that this is how it should be. Like, is that helping out your fellow human being, your neighbor, or is it just helping out your wallet and your agenda?
A lot of times their agenda.
Most
Yeah. Or when people just always just want to be involved in other people's crap, but not take care of their own crap. Like, that's the thing I hate the most. It's like try to sway someone to believe or look at things the way you do, rather than just worried about your own stuff, and talking with it about them is just another thing for you to be like, maybe they have a point. Like, I don't know how to really, it's always hard to explain.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because
talking about this stuff is just hard in general, because it makes a lot of people really uncomfortable. Like, I love talking about this shit. I think that it's super important. I think it needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
And people get really worked up, and that's the thing about politics is, you're not supposed to talk about politics with, like, at Thanksgiving or at certain times. We brought it up at work the other day at lunchtime, and somebody said, "Oh, we're talking about politics at work right now," and I thought about it later, but I should have said, "Well, like, when else are we supposed to talk about it?" But at the bar when everybody's drunk, that's not a good idea.
No.
We're like, when else are you supposed to talk about it? It's such a hush thing until it's not.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
that makes any sense.
But I feel like with talking to politics, people are just most people are just so hard-headed in the way of how they think it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what you say, they're going to always try to find a way to fight you against it.
Yeah, instead of, like, listening and being...
And to me, that's an unopened mind to learning.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like once we stop worrying about, hey, they don't think like I do, or hey, their life is not the way I would live it, so I'm going to try to change it or whatever. As soon as we stop thinking that as a humanity and start focusing on more like bigger problems like food hunger, homelessness, renewable energy that can last forever, and actually get together on that, until people stop trying to just like pinpoint the things they hate about other people, we'll never grow as society.
I absolutely agree with that too. Cheers to that. But that was one of the things that happened at work the other day. One of my coworkers said, he said, I don't care who you vote for, just don't vote for Biden. And I said, I'd rather vote for Biden than Ron DeSantis. He said, really? He said, I highly disagree with that. And I said, well, I mean, at least like Biden, yeah, he's super old.
and can't talk right.
Can't really talk right. But at least he's not like a Nazi and like trying to ban people's freedom of speech and freedom to read whatever they want to read. Like, that's the type of shit that will tear this country apart even further than it already is. And that's my opinion. If you have some other sort of argument, hit me up and we can talk about it. But yeah, I think you and I have the very similar points of views on that. Yeah,
it's just like, when that whole voting thing happened, I voted for George Jorgensen. People were like, she's not going to win. I was like, I don't care. That's what I believe in.
I think I voted for Gary Johnson whenever it was Trump and...
Yeah, and that's because that's who you believed in was right. Things like that.
Honestly, it wasn't a giant bag of dicks or a giant douche. What was the South Park thing? A giant douche or a big bag of dicks? I can't remember.
I love South Park.
South Park is one of the best shows ever created because it's so politically correct and like everything that they do is just so funny because it's so true.
I just love how much they rag on all those people and stuff like that. And
they don't miss anybody. They rag on everybody.
They get right on it. They don't get in trouble because it's just a cartoon. It's cartoons with a bunch of kids. How are you going to get in trouble with that?
I mean, also, supposedly, this is America, free speech.
Yeah, exactly. And don't both the creators of South Park live here in Steamboat?
Trey Parker has a house here.
That's right.
His kid is handicapped and is in the STARS program, so he used to come into Christie Sports all the time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He comes into he comes into one of the ski shops that I'm working at almost every single year, and I never get to see him. I'm never like right there whenever he's there, so I honestly don't even know if I would recognize him if I saw him, because apparently he's super chill. He's not like, I'm Trey Parker, he doesn't flaunt anything. Like some of the people that probably has so much less money than he does come in and they show it off, They're like me and my kikoi looking fly.
Well, were you working at Christie Sports? I think you were. It was me, you, Chris, and I think was it Caleb? The other kid.
Oh yeah, R.I.P.
What?
Yeah. Caleb is dead.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we'll talk about that after the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. Fuck. But yeah, we were in there. It was like, we stopped doing fits. It was during the busy season. It was like 5:30. We stopped doing fits. It was like 6:30. We usually try to get out of there at 7. And this family comes down that just got in at a one Steamboat place to get their get fitted. And they all come in wearing expensive ass like Gucci stuff and all that. And they come up, they're like, hey, we're here to get fitted. We're like, sorry, we stopped doing fits at 5:30. And the kid was like, we'll give you $20. We looked at him. Chris was like, you're wearing all Gucci, man. You're only going to give us $20. He's like,
Did he say that? Yeah. That's funny.
He's like, come back in tomorrow morning, because we're not doing it just for $20, bro.
You're wearing all Gucci. You're only going to give us $20. That's probably some teenage piece.
It was
$20, bro.
Yeah, and
I'll
so
let you give me your Gucci shoes.
yeah, so the next day he comes in with like flip flops and shorts on and stuff, looking like not all like high end there and things like that. But yeah, you got those people and you got the famous people that everyone knows. Like they don't come in and flaunt shit. That's what I love about them. Like, have you ever met Luke when he was in Luke Bryan when he was in One Steamboat Place, the country singer?
I've seen him multiple times, and I served him at E3 before.
Yeah.
I've never like shook his hand or anything like that.
No, yeah,
He's super chill though.
Oh, he's super chill. I mean, when I saw him, I was real busy doing the ski valet up top. And
his kids, he's got so many kids because he also like his
he's got
brother
his siblings'
died.
kids, yeah.
Yeah, his brother
He adopted
died,
his siblings' kids,
yeah.
yeah. He comes up, I'm valeting skis, I'm really busy. I turn around, and he's standing there. I didn't recognize him at first. And I'm like, what's the name of your skis, sir? He said, Brian. I said, first name? Luke. I looked back again. I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't even recognize that was you. I looked around. Austin labeled him as LB. So, people weren't just looking at the skis and saying, oh, Luke Bryan's here, this and that. And then, I said, here's your skis. He went, just walked off, and came back a few days later. Came down in the shop, was ready to leave. He's like, I just want to make sure that you guys have the skis I rented and all that. He's like, yeah, you're good. And you can tell he was there on vacation. He was having fun. You can tell by his eyes. He was, he was ready for that airplane flight and just fall asleep.
Yeah, he was. Like for all the famous people that come through town, and he's one of the only people that I actually like dealt with.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's super chill and he's got good kids too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't meet his kids when he was up last time I saw him.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Very respectable.
Yeah, my first concert ever I saw Luke Bryan was actually it was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was so Florida Georgia Line was the second act, Thompson Square's first act, and it was Luke Bryan. It was at the Allentown Fair. And I got these tickets for free because the girl I met at the previous concert, and I didn't steal her from the guy she was with. She just decided to hang out with me all night.
Disclaimer: he did not steal the girl.
I did knock him out that night though because he was running his mouth. But we ran into him at that concert, that same guy. But Luke Bryan was just like passing around a jar of moonshine to everyone, like the front stage and everything. That concert.
Nice.
It was great. I think it was moonshine. He was passing around a mason jar and people were drinking out of it. Either that or someone handed it to him. I'm assuming someone handed it to him. But no, it was he was a great performer and all that. But he was like, to meet him and see how nice of a guy he was, compared to people always think celebrities are assholes when they're not. They're just here to have fun.
Yeah.
They get a busy life.
I'm sure that they can be, but I can be an asshole too.
I'm always an asshole.
That's true.
Well, I'm always honest with people. So it comes all across being an asshole.
Brutally honest.
It's like that people start talking to me about like some drama stuff, and I'm like, I don't care about the drama. They'll be like, why you gotta be such a dick? I was like, I just don't care about the drama.
Not a dick. I'm just being honest. I don't care. Just tell it to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Not me, because I'm going to tell you to shut the fuck up.
That's funny. So, Mike, are you proud to be an American?
Yeah, I am. Even though, like, there's such different, like, there's just this, we have such a big split of people in this country on what the political views, all that. People that, I had a friend, I was wearing a grunt style shirt a couple weeks ago, and she's a good friend, but like, she was drunk too, so I knew it was just drunk talk, but she was like, talking like about the shirt, how it was a grunt style shirt, had the American flag on it, and things like that, and started saying like how, women, people don't like the American flag, this and that. I'm like, I don't care. That's what I like. I like the flag. I've served with people that have died under the flag. Also, I do believe that our country has failed certain ethnicities in this country as a whole. But also, I'm still proud to be here because of the diversity we have in the United States. It's such a big part, and I think, we need to learn all these different diversities. Like, you go to most other countries in the world, which are great, we're not the only country with freedom. We're not.
No.
Yeah, everyone believes, like, you're the far right people, like, we have freedom. Yeah, so does half the other world have freedom.
It's a lot more limited. I'll say that. Like, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, so it's like, I love this country because we have the different diversity, different viewpoints on things, right? But I also do not like how certain aspects of how our country came to be, like how we pretty much pushed all the Native Americans to small parts of the country. I don't like that, and I feel like there's something that needs to be, because the reses are not a safe place for a lot of kids.
Reserves,
Yeah, because I knew.
Reservations.
Yeah, and so I knew I knew a couple kids on the Navajo res, and they would tell me stories about, just how hard it was and all this and that. It's like, that's not how it should be. Like, for anyone in this country, it should not be that way. So that part of America, I hate, because that's something we should be focusing on fixing for all across the United States. Fixing these communities, fixing these places where the only thing left for people is a life of crime. Our criminal system, our justice system is shit because it doesn't help people get out of it. It keeps people in it.
It's just built to keep people in the system. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's all about money.
It is, and it's all about money. But on the other side, like I said, I can go from the West Coast to the East Coast. It's a completely different world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely different world of people. Midwest, completely different world. North to South, completely different world of people, especially speech. No, but like, different world of people, different foods, different environments, and I don't know. I love it, but I just hate how, as an American, I had to sit there and see people fight over petty beliefs and saying, oh, their life can be better if they choose to. It's like, yes, that's true, but if all they know is this one way of life, then how are they going to know how to make it better unless they are taught that way of life? A better way of life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If all they know, like where I grew up when we were living with our mom in Newport Richey, Florida, area we grew up in, it was poor. We weren't rich, we were poor. Wintertime when we get a cold front, it'd be, some of us would have 2 t-shirts on to stay warm.
Where did I hear? Oh,
we were talking about the ice house. Yeah.
Two tank tops was their jacket.
or like, we could, find maybe find a long sleeve or whatever. But it's like, if kids in that community weren't taught by other people, like, hey, your life can be better than this, then that's all we would know, right? And a lot of those kids in that community were not. I was lucky enough my dad got us out of there. And when we moved down to Florida, back down to Hollywood, my dad was an electrician. He worked his ass off. He worked 120 hours a week to make sure we could live somewhere better. And so
I feel like it's hard nowadays, though. I mean, unless
everything's so expensive.
Well, I'm just saying, like, to not know that there's something different out there.
Yeah, it's not a better option.
Well, like, it's hard to not know because of social media, cell phones, and all that stuff, like Instagram, Facebook, all that shit. Like, it's hard for
scrolling through all day.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're like you said, it's hard for them to know that there's more out there, but I could see it as more like they know that it's out there, but they only see it on their phone, like just scrolling through.
So they think it's not attainable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like they can't do that.
Yeah,
I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of my idols, and he has a new documentary on.
I know he has a new one because I know he came from nothing because he's from
Austria.
Austria, and he came from nothing, but he built his life up, right? And like you said, with people just seeing it on social media, they think it's like not attainable because these people are just famous, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like people I knew that can sing really well, right? I was like, go out for American Idol, go out for X Factor or whatever, like the shows that can get you out there. And they'd be like, oh no, I can't, or this and that.
Make an excuse.
Make an excuse, but that's how a lot of these other people became famous. You know, Carrie Underwood. One of the first winners of American, or no, it was Kelly Clarkson first, right?
Yeah.
And then Carrie Underwood.
I mean, I don't
But
know.
they didn't have anything from that. Like they went out there and they put themselves out there to be that person they are now. And everyone just thinks that they can't do something like that. Or like when it comes to sports, people don't think that they can be a professional athlete because that's what they get told. They're like, oh, only this 1% of people from college go to be professional athletes. It's like, why would you sit there unless you follow it up saying that you can be the 1%, which most people don't? The kid's never gonna believe that he can make it, or he or she.
What they need is somebody to be like, you can do it, but you're gonna have to work
Exactly.
extremely hard, which is the truth. Because if you want to be a professional athlete, you're gonna have to fucking bust your ass.
Exactly, and that's why I like that.
Sorry to interrupt you
No, go
again,
ahead.
but like that's what I'm finding out too. Like sometimes, like being in, I don't even know being in anything. Just kind of just had this stupid mindset that like people who had money or were successful, they either like inherited it or something like that. But no, I would say 95% of the time, people who are successful busted their ass to get there.
They built it.
They build it.
Yes.
And so, like, for me personally, like, I've been doing the same shit for, I'm not 36 years, but, like, I started working when I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just did the work hard, and you'll be successful, but things don't work like that anymore. So I'm changing my way of doing things, like with the trading and this podcast. I'm trying to make money work for me and not work for money so much. So because I know that there's more out there. There's a better life for me and my family, and so I'm going for it.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant, and I love that because to see, and that's like seeing when you told me about your podcast. I was excited that you started this. I wasn't expecting you to ask me to interview on it, but because my life is still, I never thought about. I always worked hard, and that's what I did. But it wasn't until recently.
I was good at it too.
Like I was good at the oil field stuff I did. I was good at my job in the military prior, but I left the oil field, fucked up the military when I got my 3 DUIs coming up on my reenlistment, or my 2 DUIs, sorry. And that, I couldn't reenlist. But now I have a second chance that most people don't have.
You're going back.
I'm going back in. I'm going in the Army this time. And now I have a chance to do what I wanted to do. And this is my chance to work towards that and create a life, not just for me, but the kid I have that's in Argentina that I haven't got to see yet because my life was fucked up when the kid was born.
Wait. Kid that you have?
Yeah. Yeah, so
this is latest news drop.
Yeah. So about let's see, October he'll be a year. But back when she was pregnant, I got a girl pregnant here in Steamboat, and we dated. Well, not dated, but we were hooking up for a little bit. Whatever. She wanted to date. I didn't. Whatever. That didn't work out. But then, like 6 months later, started hooking up again. My dumbass didn't wear a condom the one night. So of course, 9 months later, there's a kid. But for me, it was hard because I knew my life was fucked up. And I wasn't ready mentally to be the father I want that kid to have. So when she brought up the idea about her moving back to Argentina, to have a kid because she has medical insurance out there and her parents are retired. I agreed with it. She didn't like that. You know, I don't know if you know much about Latina women. They're crazy.
I mean, I knew that.
I mean, I knew that too growing up in Florida, but for some reason I didn't really listen to that instinct. But, so yeah, she had the kid in Argentina. It hurt because she named it after the name I suggested, which is Vincent, which is was my best friend growing up in Newport Richey. That family across the street that would feed us when my mom wasn't around and stuff. Mm-hmm. Their kid, Vincent, he was my best friend growing up at that point in my life. And he died at 15, 16 years old in a car crash.
Oh, damn.
And so from there, I told myself I'd always name my first son Vincent. And she did. But I told her, because she wanted us to live together. She wanted, she didn't have a driver's license. She never drove before. She wanted to, try to get a place in Hayden to rent. I'm like, you can't drive anywhere. I was like, your paychecks are under someone else's name because you're not legal anymore because your visa went up over COVID and you're still here. The best option for you and for this kid right now is to go back to Argentina. You have health insurance. You can get your stuff renewed and come back two years later.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me because I look like the bad guy, which, yes, I was fucked. That was all my doing, pretty much. I fucked up my life that bad. But I didn't want that kid to have a piece of shit father like my mom was for us. And so I told her that. She started to really understand it a little more.
So you kind of had a little bit of a fear of that?
I had a fear I was going to be like my mom. I really did. I really did have a fear I was going to be just like my mom when it came to raising the kid at that time in my life. If it was 3-4 years prior, no problem. My life was not. I didn't get involved with drugs then or anything like that. I had a good job, and my head was more straight. And then recently, with this going back, the recruiter calling me saying he can get me back in and stuff, I looked at it as an opportunity for not just me to straighten my shit out and have it straight, but also have that security for the kid when she's able to come back to the States. And it's hard because, it's my son.
Yeah.
Named after my best friend.
That's wild, bro.
And I'm not proud of it, but also I got to realize to myself that I'd rather have that kid be in a household right now where he's able to be loved and not have a parent that's just going out and always partying. And that's kind of when I really, really it snapped at me to change my shit. Because I do want to be a part of that kid's life. But
that's when you think you snapped out of the bullshit?
Yes.
For the most part?
Yeah. Plus, there's a couple people in town that really helped me realize that. Beverly, she grew up here and stuff, so she's like a little sister I couldn't have. Because I do have a little sister that lives with her father. I haven't seen her since I think I was 10 years old. And so having her, with her honesty like I have, helped me realize that. And so from there, with the stuff with the recruiter and all this, it's my time to leave this town. Like I said, I can't stay in this town. I love this town. I love the people I've met in this town.
Well, you got a kid in Argentina. I mean, I was just saying, you got a kid in Argentina. Steamboat can be a party town forever if you want it to be, and it sounds like you don't want that. So
I don't want that, but I know if I stay here, that's what my life will become.
Yeah,
will continue to be, and so that's why I'm trying to get out of here as soon as possible to get back in the military, to do all this, to have a life for him, but also use that part to use the education benefits I can get from the military, use this stuff to create a life where he sees his dad as someone that succeeded from nothing is a big part, because once I'm able, like once he's part of my life physically and stuff, I want him to see that he's not going to get handouts, that he needs to work for what he has. And so going back in the military, I'm also going to use that and probably start doing online classes and stuff again. Probably go do online classes for exercise science like I wanted to eventually. Get back into some sort of fighting things. I miss fighting. I trained a little bit in the octagon back in North Carolina. I love jiu-jitsu, I love Muay Thai, love wrestling, love boxing, love the discipline it instills.
How old are you now?
30.
30?
Yeah.
Okay.
I never thought like this is what my 30s would be like. That's the
You're into the beginning of your 30s. 30s are the best.
I just turned 30 in April. Yeah. Yeah. So
but getting back into the fighting at 30, I might question a little bit, but
I'm still playing rugby. I'm going back in the military at 30.
That's completely different, bro.
What do you mean, rugby?
Fighting and rugby. I mean, I get that rugby is a
brutal
rough sport, but at least you're just not like sitting there punching each other in the face and kicking each other and
oh yeah,
that kind of shit.
Yeah, rugby. I discovered rugby when I moved here. I never played it before, and I love the sport. It's great.
I was asked numerous times, like before, and I always said no because I like my knees. And I've broken a bone from my head to my toes, and I just.
Speaking of knees, that's the first year I played rugby. I blew out my knee.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I went back the next year to play because I loved it, and then I got kicked in the neck and caused nerve damage in my arm. See? But I'm still playing. I mean, there's also a reason why I joined the Marine Corps. I never claimed to be smart, so we like our crowns, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've broken a bone from not every bone, but a bone from my head to my toes, starting from the skull, nose, jaw, collarbone, shoulder, rib, shoulder, so many times, fingers, femur, knee, ankle.
Jesus Christ. I thought it was just your skull that you broke.
No, I cracked that one. That's why I can't smell, though.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah, so I was like, rugby it sounds like a lot of fun. Like, I would probably have a ball playing it. But,
well, you do catch a ball, so.
Yeah, I mean, having a ball, you know. But it's just, I was like, nah, I like snowboarding.
Yeah.
And if I were to, anytime I get hurt, I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, I can't believe I did that. But whenever it's doing something stupid, that's whenever I'm like, I can't believe I did that. But whenever it's doing something fun, I'm like, shit happens.
Yeah. And that's one thing I miss is like, since my knee injury, I can't snowboard the same. I get after about 30 minutes of riding, my knee gets tired and I can't control the board anymore. And I grew up in PA teaching snowboarding. So I learned how to control it really well. And now that's why I don't snowboard. I missed out on the best year I have seen in Steamboat this past winter because...
It was an epic winter.
Yeah. And that, I just missed out on it because I can't turn sharp anymore, so I couldn't go through the trees with everyone. And that's one thing, like, yeah. Do you want out? You want out?
We're going to take a time out real quick.
I'm going to grab more beer.
We haven't peed yet. Can't
Nope.
believe it. You're like an iron horse.
Yep.
And we'll see how this thing turns out with all of your noises that you make.
It adds in, right? Adds into the podcast.
Yeah. I'm going to grab one more, too. You want to go in with Mama's? Hi. We're not done yet. I was just seeing what she was doing. We're not done yet. I can't hear you. No. Get some sleep, babe. Just rest. You don't have to get some sleep, but just rest. I love you. I'm still recording, that's why. Even though it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter because it's all going to be edited anyway. I love you. Jenny had a kidney stone the other day, or she still has a kidney stone.
Ouch.
We had to go to the ER yesterday morning. Yeah, yesterday morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
3 millimeters.
That sounds painful.
This is her second one, second of the year.
Dang. Stop eating cheese and drinking soda.
It's the I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think that's just a myth.
salty foods is what I hear. Holy shit. What? Oh, okay. That's fine. Who's Kelsey's? Nice. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I'll check it out in a bit. We're going back to recording now. Love you. Bye. Okay, and we're back. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about?
Oh, man.
Have you ever had any, well, you never saw any battle back in your military days?
No. Because the only place I got deployed to was Okinawa, Japan. And when I got to my unit, they switched over the unit I was a part of to doing UDPs, so the Pacific deployments over in like, Korea, Japan, and, all those Thailand, Philippines, all that. The other artillery unit was doing all the UDPs, or not UDPs, MEUs over towards like, the Mediterranean area and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys were more likely to see action. I've known a couple guys that did. He lost a couple, but yeah. So it was like it was a weird thing because we wanted it. We wanted to go over there with them to see it, and I think that was more like the younger Marine.
Like you wanted to go fight.
Yeah.
I mean, like you wanted to.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure
people help, and you wanted to.
We wanted to make sure people got home.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but the older I got, I realized that never I shouldn't be seeking it. Should not be seeking war, but to be prepared for it. And that's one of the things we did a lot in our unit. When in the Marine Corps, we always trained. And that prepared us to be ready. That prepared us to be ready to get shot at, to fight, to have those artillery missions. And I just feel like that's another reason why I'm going back in, because I miss that readiness side. It's also just like in my, there's I don't know what it's called, but everyone in their past, like when their whole reincarnation thing, there's a belief that everyone in their past life lived as a different aspect of life. So like a lover or a warrior or more like a scholar or more someone that was like more like on a king level. I feel that everyone in those previous lives lived something one or the other. And I feel like more now is more where like being a warrior, being strong, being there to help others. And for my downfall, that's where I always feel like I need to be strong for everyone else, so I can never show a soft side. In my younger days of that. Now getting a little older, like, I know it's okay to shed a tear. I know it's okay to mourn.
I fucking cry all the time.
Yeah, and I never really did.
Not all the time. Just whenever something
happens.
I mean, like, I'll well up over the smallest shit. Just be thinking about something in my head.
Yeah, and it starts to bring that out. But like, I think understanding that makes you, for me, it makes you, as a warrior side of thing, it makes you better at that. Being able to shed that tear, being able to mourn, because I feel like it helps with the trauma. Because I held it in for a long time. It made the trauma.
Holding it in sucks. I mean, just for me holding anything in.
Yeah.
I gotta at least talk about it, say it out loud, or something like that, and so.
I still struggle with that. I still struggle with actually doing that. But I feel like it gives you an understanding, but also helps me in my mind able to control a harder situation at that moment, like when it's there.
Right.
Because now, when something bad happens, I go through, getting through it first before mourning is what I do best at. Like last summer, we lost quite a few people in the community last summer. Quite a few. Lacey Lewis, Frodo, a couple longtime locals that got found dead on the river or in Fish Creek Falls, a couple. And I noticed how hard, people were just crying, and it was fine for them to do that, but I felt like I needed to be the stronger person at the time, and then I mourned later. It's just the way, like, I've thought of things, and I'm really happy for that, because when that stuff happened, I wasn't drinking when everyone else was, so I was giving everyone rides. I didn't want them to drink and drive and someone else die. So that side of me, being, I don't want to say stubborn, but
I don't think it's stubborn.
But no, I don't know.
Like to not shed a tear or something like. Or
I can compartmentalize my emotions a lot easier than most people. Where most people get flooded with them and they just let them out. And that's one thing I feel like my dad taught me growing up, because I've never seen the man cry. But my stepmom told me about one time. She walked in the bathroom because she was going to use the bathroom. My dad was sitting there crying. I was like, wait, Dad was crying.
I don't know if I've ever seen my dad cry. I don't even know if he cried at his mother's funeral. And then my cousin punched me in the face, so he got pissed. my cousin, we all good now.
Of course, yeah, it's your cousin.
But he punched me in the face at my BB's funeral, because once we talked about it, then I understood. But because he thought that I was just like, he had been sending me all these text messages and stuff, trying to reach out to me since I moved to Colorado, but I never answered because he was texting my old number. And so I never got him. And that's another story. But, I mean, that didn't make me cry. I got up and I was ready to roll. And then just got thrown into the car like, we're leaving.
Oh man, almost every funeral me and my friends back in Pennsylvania attended, someone got into a fight between us friends, like the five of us, you know. I remember Josh Dillon's funeral really specifically. And he was a kid I went to high school with. He died on a dirt bike he had, you know. And this was, I think it was back in 2017. And great kid, amazing kid. We had his funeral in Blossburg at the funeral home and stuff. And afterwards, so like we didn't stay around for all of it. But so a couple of us went to the Bear Ass, the bar in Blossburg. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Small town bar. And Logan, we were all going to stay at Stevie's house that night in Arnott. Logan was our ride. He left us at the bar without telling us and drove back to Stevie's. So we get back to Stevie's house. Stevie walks in all pissed at Logan for leaving us. Logan starts mouthing off to him and stuff. Stevie's like, get out of my house. Like, leave. Get out of my house. You're going to be an asshole. Leave. So they fought a little bit in the house. Logan started leaving. He tried to go drive. I said, no. I took his keys. And then he pushed me, and he knew already, because this is not the first time we swung on each other. He knew already every time that either he makes a threat or puts his hands on me, I'm swinging right back right away. So I did. And Logan, he was like a little brother. At this point I was 180 pounds and a lot stronger than him. He was like 130, you know, my height, but like 130. So I swung on him a couple times. He fell over. He gets back up. I'm like, Logan, you can either stay down or go back inside, because I already talked to Stevie. He's not going to let you drive. He's like, give me my keys. He stood up. So we started fighting again. We get on the ground, just keep fighting. He gets up, then he pulls out a knife. That's how drunk he is. I said, Logan, put that knife away right fucking now, or else I'm going to beat your ass into the hospital. And he kind of looked at me, saw I was serious. He put it away and kept trying to fight me. So I just finally knocked him the fuck out.
Pennsylvania boys for you.
I left him
Florida.
It was Pennsylvania. I left him in the yard.
It's one of the same almost, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah. I just left him right there in the yard so he can sleep it off in the yard. He comes back in a few hours later, apologizing and stuff. Next morning, he wakes up. His face is all fucking black and blue. His mom yells at us, of course, because back there, it was like everyone's mom was everyone's mom. You know? So, how do we get on that topic again now? Fuck. But like, oh yeah, because I was talking about like the emotional side. I'm able to control it a little better.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
there we go.
Also, I'm able to hold my alcohol better than most people.
Me too.
And so like I've just remember doing all that kind of stuff, the funerals, people we lost, that I had to be the one that was stronger, and I think that kind of also hurt me from expressing emotions.
Yeah.
But getting older, I feel like it. I realized I can actually do that.
Yeah. Whenever Marcus the Plant killed himself, did you know Marcus?
No, I heard about him though.
Yeah, that was before I knew you.
Yeah, people told me about him all the time.
We had a wake at OTP, and like I've never been a big public speaker until I guess recently. But I don't know what it was. Like they had like an open mic. If anybody wanted to go up and say anything, then you could. And I just felt like I needed to. And I can't remember exactly. It was kind of like a blackout or a gray out.
What's a gray out?
Just like, I mean, like you're there. I can't remember what I said though, other than like that he was the first person that I met. Really, in Steamboat. 'Cause, like, I made friends with. We had met at that bar. But I really can't remember what all I said other than that and how good of a person he was and how good friends we were. But I feel like that made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Just like
Talking about it. Yeah. Talking about it's important. But there is, I feel like there's a point. I feel like some people get too consumed with mourning.
that's good.
Was that a sour?
Paloma sour.
Paloma sour. So, what's Paloma again? There's tequila, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot, and I feel like people get stuck in a mourning phase too long, and they let it consume them.
Yeah.
When it comes to death, and so it takes someone or some people to tell them like, hey, we all miss this person, we all care about this person, but you can't stay in this state forever. Mourning's fine. You can't stay in this state forever.
Right.
You have to move on in life, remember their life, move on in the way they'd want you to.
Yeah. Like, honor them
Yeah.
by... Because they wouldn't want you to... I mean, unless it was just an extremely selfish person. Like,
Yeah.
You must mourn me forever. But, like, nobody wants you to mourn them forever. They want you to move on.
Yeah, the one I remember the most.
Like, not like continue living.
Yeah, that is hard. It took me a while to realize that because when I was 18, I lost Ellen, and so her family. I met all them on a mission trip we did down in New Orleans in 2008 or 9, and her brother, me and him connected real well. They became like the other family I had down. Like I ended up like being a part of their family, not through blood, but like just knowing them. And Ellen was a lot
It doesn't
younger.
gotta be blood to be family.
Exactly. And when she died, that death hit me the hardest any death I've ever had, because she at such a young age was such. And it's still, even to this day, it's still a mystery to me on why she did what she did. But I know...
What happened? Did she kill herself?
Yes. Her mom found her hanging in the barn.
God damn.
Yeah, at 15 years old. And it was rough. And I remember I was working out because she was in a coma in the hospital for like a week. And her brother was keeping me updated. And the one day I was working out at Three Springs there up in the gym, and Josh and Wade were up there too. And I see I got a missed call from Ethan and a voicemail. So I had that voicemail on I kept that old phone for years because I would re-listen to that voicemail. And that voicemail was saying she finally passed. That's when phones were tough. So I took the phone and threw it out a window. And it still, was around. But
yeah.
From that, though, was my first experience on helping others through death. That's that, at that young of an age, for me, was really impactful because it took his parents and him a while. And, so, like, we talked and things, and that's kind of when I realized that you can't mourn forever, but you can remember. There's a difference. And Ethan came up that spring. Ethan and a couple of the boys he knew down there went on a rafting trip down the Pine Creek. You know where Pine Creek's at, right? The river?
Oh, yeah. Pine Creek.
Yeah.
That was right next to me.
Yeah, right in the PA Grand Canyon. We started up in Ansonia and floated down. And two of the boys he brought up were in the one canoe. And we don't know why. We were still like after this trip or to this day, we're like, why did we let majority of the alcohol be in their canoe? So they got extremely fucked up. And then next thing you know, we're going through the Ansonia Rapids, which aren't anything crazy, but the canoe flips, and then none of the cooler lids were strapped down, and they had all the liquor and majority of the beer, and you just see all this liquor and beer floating through the river. All these other kayaks, like, they were doing their best. All these other kayaks that weren't part of us to, like, get all the beer and hand it back and all this because we don't want to trash the river.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I remember seeing his name was Josh. They're on the top of the canoe because it's flipped over, and he sees the Jack Daniels bottle floating, the top of it floating down the river. He just launches himself over the top of the canoe to grab the bottle. He picks it up. It's just the top half of the Jack Daniels bottle. The sadness in his face when that happened was fucking incredible.
It was glass?
Yeah, it was glass. Yeah, that was like...
Do they even make Jack Daniels in plastic bottles?
They do, but they weren't the fifths. We had a fifth.
Right.
We had a fifth of that. We had vodka. We had tequila. We had a couple other whiskeys. So we had no more. We had one bottle of liquor left that was in mine and Eric's canoe. And luckily, though, we still had like two cases of beer. But like, and looking back on it, we had a lot of alcohol for the one overnight. Like, it was an overnight trip.
Yeah, you get a little excited, Just grab it all.
But I mean, we're gonna drink it all regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that trip, he said, was what helped him the most get over that. That's being active to death, like after death, doing things with people that you care about is so important. Yeah.
Sure, you poured one out to him.
Oh yeah, we poured one out to Ellen for sure.
Probably more than one.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of stuff helps out a lot. I think just like I'm sure you talked about her a lot, or like.
Here and there, I did.
Was it just? I mean, like on that night on that camping trip.
Yeah, because Ethan and Eric, the older brother, was there too. And then the other Eric, the one I was in the canoe with. Everyone knew. We all knew her. Like, so it was a kind of a trip for all of us to get back together again as brothers and things like that, and hang out as friends. And so
sounds like the movie Without a Paddle.
It almost ended up like that, but it wasn't West Virginia, so we were good. Or where was that? Where did that movie take place? It wasn't. It was on the West Coast that movie took place.
Yeah, it was probably like Oregon or Washington or something like that.
That movie was good. I missed that movie, but no, yeah. So like we had a campfire and everything. We're all hanging out. Yeah, but those kind of trips are, I feel, are trips doing things outdoors. Outdoors is just an amazing release and eye-opener and experience for people.
Yeah.
To not just get over mourning, but anything, just, anything in life.
Being out in Mother Nature. She has a way of...
Yeah, that's why I got big into hiking. Hiking was a big savior for me once I got out of the Marine Corps. Like, it took me... I was so lost without the Marine Corps. Even when I was in the oil field, I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. So I started hiking by myself a lot. Doing a lot of trails on my own, things like that. And to me, it's such a... being out there, just hearing the sounds and just respecting nature as it is. Like, whenever I came across a rattlesnake in nature, I didn't like try to kill it or anything. I just let it be. I love timber rattlesnakes are beautiful snakes.
Oh, fuck that.
They are absolutely beautiful. I hated snakes. Like, I didn't hate them to where I killed them. I hated them to where I was like, leave the thing alone. Let's get the hell out of here. But once I started getting out on the trails more, and my friend Stevie and a lot of my friends there were rattlesnake hunters. They kind of introduced me to just seeing them and things like that, and they play such a big part in the ecosystem in Pennsylvania. Yeah, they're natural there, and they are actually very beautiful creatures. Like their colors, their patterns.
Yeah, they are, but. God, I hate snakes, especially rattlesnakes.
The ones out here are assholes.
I've never seen a rattlesnake out here.
Oh, they're assholes. Well, they're not native here either, so you can legally kill them.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, you can't.
Well, there's just so many, and I remember like trimming trees. We were being like up near Renova, where
There's a lot up there.
Yeah,
There's a big nest up there.
We would have to like be walking through the boulders and then like cutting brush, turn your chainsaw off while you walk so that you could hear the rattles.
Mm-hmm.
Like turn it back on or start her up, cut, turn it off, walk a little bit more. Yeah.
I almost. Luckily, this one was going through shedding the process, so his eyes were all glazed over, so I couldn't really see. When I was doing seismic, I was walking, tripped over a rock. Down, it was like a 3-foot drop. Fell. Looked up, and there's just this beautiful yellow timber. The yellow coloring on them and stuff. The most bright yellow on a rattlesnake I've ever seen. Just curled up there, not rattling, nothing. Didn't see me. It was like literally this far away from my face. I was scared shitless. I didn't move. I had one of the other guys come back behind me and pull me up real quick.
I'd be scared to death.
Oh, man. But then I just sat there and looked at it for a while.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's just it's a different. I respected nature before that.
I get it. I completely understand where you're coming from. I'm just never been a fan of snakes. And
Most people are.
Rattlers. Yeah. Yeah, but I respect nature. You know, we just got back from Africa. That's where I got this kikoi.
That'd be such a beautiful trip.
It was absolutely insane, incredible, spectacular, everything. We went with her family, so we were a little spoiled. But it's like baboons climbing all over our tents. I guess there was a puff adder in our camp.
A what?
Puff adder.
What the heck is that?
It's a snake, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world.
Yeah. Wow.
And
how do you feel about that?
It was right in a curled up in a tree, right next to the walking path that we went to like the common area, like the social area. Yeah, I guess they didn't move it, but like coaxed it away or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I completely forgot about snakes, like, because there's like jaguars and lions and shit like that you got to be aware of, like whenever you're walking to and from places or just like out, because all the camps are just in the bush.
Yeah.
And there's animals like just out there. Like I got it out of the shower, looked out the tent, there's fucking 2 giraffes just like right outside my tent.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it was fucking nuts.
That's
like,
just giraffes to me are just such a.
They're such weird creatures.
I know. It's like, what in God's creation would make you want to create an animal with a neck that's like 15 feet long?
Somebody's got to eat those leaves up there.
Okay. No, that kind of that makes sense, but also it's like, they're slow, aren't they? They're not fast creatures.
No, they don't run very fast. Like I got some videos of them running, and they walk like this, like 2 legs.
On each side?
Yeah. They don't walk like a leopard or something, or a dog.
Or like,
anything like
that.
Opposite
leg.
Yeah, they walk with both legs on one side. Yeah, and then they run like that too. It's crazy. Weird to see.
Yeah.
And then they're so big. Then the babies are so cute.
Yeah. Did you get close to them, or?
Yeah, it's insane how close you can get to those animals.
Or them just not caring?
Yeah, because apparently, like they get used to the safari trucks are out there all the time, you know? And so as long as nobody like stands up or makes any sudden movements, they only see the car or the truck as a solid figure.
Yeah.
And so just like another elephant, but they know that it doesn't mean them any harm. So like we're literally able to get up to the lions, like not too much further away than she is here from right now, like from me to that chair over there. It's crazy. But then as soon as like they'll look at you right in the eye too.
Yeah.
Like I made eye contact with many lions, and like, but they still see it as just one figure. But I guess if you stand up, somebody stands up like out of nowhere or gets out, completely different story.
Yeah.
Like elephants are just fucking walking by like the quarter of our truck, like literally.
Did you
10
get to
feet
ride an
away.
elephant?
No. Petted some.
Petted some?
At an elephant, baby elephant haven that we took helicopters to.
What? Should have rode it.
Well, you're not allowed. Not allowed to ride it. And also, like those are the Asian elephants that I think that are more ridden.
Oh, okay.
There's African elephants and Asian elephants.
What's what's the difference between them?
I think the Asian elephants are smaller, a little smaller, and then the shape of their ears is more like
The elephant ear plant?
Elephant. Their ears are shaped like the continent Asia, and then the ears of African elephants are more shaped like the continent of Africa. I don't know. At least African elephants, their ears are shaped like the continent of Africa. Like they legitly look like Africa. It's crazy.
That is wild.
I know.
How does that?
They're like big ass dogs though. I don't know if it was. I don't know. Who knows if it was on purpose or not? But like, if you take an African elephant's ear, and hold it up, it is shaped like Africa.
I never knew that about elephants. That's just wild to think that, like, genetically, though, that the difference is mainly in the ears. That you would say that.
I mean, there's probably other differences too, but that's one of the main distinctions between the two.
Really?
Yeah. Asian ones might be a little more round or something.
I need to go to Africa now.
For anybody that's thinking about taking a safari to Africa, you have to do it because it is fucking insane. Like, granted, if you go out into the bush, like the places that we stayed at were pretty extravagant. Very blessed and very lucky to have gone on such a trip.
Yeah.
And it is expensive. Like people will save for years and years and years to be able to do it, but it's so worth it. Like the guides are some of the coolest people to talk to, and they're just out there doing it every day, happy to be alive. Like, because COVID for them is completely different too. Like, I mean, everything shut down like everywhere else in the world, but they were there just like basically saving the camp from the animals. Like there was no people coming in, so they were just there
to make sure that animals didn't overrun it.
Yeah. And they said that like whenever they were allowed to start doing game drives again, they would take the trucks out and the animals would just run. And so they had to like work their trust back into
getting used to the vehicles again and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Getting used to mankind.
Mm-hmm. But they don't know that it's mankind. They just think it's an animal.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know what they think it is, but they don't. Whatever they think that it is, it's not of any harm to them. And they chill with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've been at this for a while. Probably about 2 hours now. Anything else you want to talk about, Mike?
Talk about, I don't know.
Say?
Well, like talking about stuff, I'm always one, like people they need to ask the question. I feel like it kind of gives me a better, feel like let's talk about something, like, what?
Yeah.
But, no, pretty much anything, if I want to say anything before signing off with you is, what you're doing, I love with this podcast. I feel like it's very genuine. And I feel it's going to help a lot of people. And it's going to take time for it to grow. But it's the right mentality, right mission to want to just talk about people's lives, mental awareness, mental health awareness, things like that. Because we all can use it. We all can use to hear about the stories from other people, because you never know when it can save someone else's life, or it can change someone else's life. And I'm very grateful that you asked me to do this, because I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do this for anyone. And you being a good friend of mine since I moved here, knowing that we're from, same area, Pennsylvania, and you find out things now about me you never knew that I thought you knew just because, we know each other since I moved here. It makes me feel even more appreciative of the life that I've lived up to this point, because there are some things that were out of my control. It makes me start to realize that there's things that I have done to myself in my life to, ruin it or change it or make it better. And it can help someone else that listens change their life or help save their life, because we all go through struggles. We all feel pain. We all hurt. And a big thing for me is, mental health and awareness a lot in men. And for someone like me to have the opportunity to get on a podcast and talk about it, as someone that people know as a, guy that's tough, a guy that doesn't really express emotion, really is something in my head I've always wanted to help people with. And this, I feel like, is a start. Not just for you, but for me to get out there and get more involved on helping people with their mental health and helping them realize that they're not alone in this world. A lot of guys feel alone in this world.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to talk about stuff.
They don't know how to talk about stuff, and for some reason the mentality of, or the personification of men is that we're tough and we got it all together.
Yeah.
And we're taking care of shit, but that ain't always the case.
Yeah. I mean, at my lowest a lot of my life, I felt like I couldn't talk about it. But I know within, especially the last year of my life, that I need to. I need to talk about it. I need to get it out. And it's not with everyone. I'm not just go around and talk with anyone about the shit goes on in my life. Like with you,
yeah.
I would, or any, like, the people I trust.
Yeah.
Right? And it was hard for me to do that as a man, especially someone that comes from a father that's so stubborn and tough. But he's my greatest hero because how tough he was, but also I learned myself that I have to seek help. That's one side of the military that's hard for us. We don't like to seek help from people that don't know anything about the military. Like, I'm not gonna go sit there and sit down with a therapist and talk about shit that happened in the military, or talk about hard times and stuff like that. But knowing you went through similar stuff, it's easier for me to talk to you about it. Or people at Warhorse Ranch, it's easier for me to talk to them about it because they've gone through that. But my big thing is there's people out there that'll listen. There's people out there that'll help you. And that has been the biggest struggle in my life up until about a year ago, asking for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing I'd leave on the table for this podcast.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And this month, the month of June, is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yep.
And thank you for saying that about me and this podcast, because, I mean, that's honestly what my goal is for this thing. Like, just to make everybody aware that everybody's got struggles, everybody's got issues, and it helps to talk about it, and you shouldn't be ashamed to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, we're all men and women. This isn't just a show just for men.
Yeah, exactly.
We are two men talking about this shit, and sometimes it can be hard for us because we have this personification that we got to hold up, or else it's just not even the personification, just like it's just our own mental shit. It's like, if I don't talk about it, it doesn't exist, but it really does, because it's in your brain, and our brains are extremely powerful.
Oh yeah, the human brain's incredible. especially the stuff that it can congregate.
Yeah, the human brain is fucking literally one of the craziest things. It can build things, it can invent things, it can write songs, poetry, plays, music, and also completely destroy a body from the inside out.
Yes. Yeah, experienced that the last especially 2 years of my life. My brain has been doing that. But also, we can have the power over it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. But we can also have the power to control it and harness it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Brother. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you for, asking me to be here.
Opening yourself up.
Well, yeah, it depends on the night, right?
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me on here. And, I just hope more people start listening, will listen to this, and over time your thing can grow. It's not going to be an overnight thing.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I think that it might be, but
success doesn't happen overnight.
All right. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Dev Dog and Mike Dog signing out. Much love.
All right.
Well, guys, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really want everyone's story to be heard. I want to hear your story. It's important so that we can all come together as a community and serve a common purpose, and that is to live a happy and prosperous life, I think. So please join us next time, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on another episode, and like and share with all of your friends and family. If you or you know of anybody that has an awesome story that needs to be told, and you have the courage to come on and tell it to the public and all the other underdogs. And all of my contact information and socials are going to be listed in the show notes, so please don't hesitate to get at me. I want to hear from all of you. That's it. I'll catch y'all next time. Dev Dog out. Much love.